A while back, a viewer had commented, can you beat Dark Souls with any left-handed weapon? And on that same video, another viewer commented, how bad the Cestus left-handed attack is. So I knew at this moment what I had to do. I had to use my polymerization card to fuse these two together to make Can You Beat Dark Souls with no armor and left jabs only? With that said, let's get into the rules for this run. Rule number 1, left jabs only. For this, I will only be able to use my left hand attack for damage, and to make this run more comfortable, I will be using the Cestus. Rule number 2, no armor. As a true boxer, I must fight in the nude. Rule number 3, no shields. As a true boxer, I must also fight with no protection. Number 4, very large Ember is locked behind Ornstein and Smo. As stated, I must beat Ornstein and Smo to use the very large Ember. Number 5, level caps. For every boss I beat, I'm allowed 5 levels. Number 6, no glitches or mods. Number 7, no summons. And lastly, number 8, beat every boss in the game. With that said, let's get this run started. I first start off by naming my character Ippo, after the greatest boxer in manga history, or as JK likes to call him, Jabberwocky. For the class, I could have gone with either the Warrior or the Hunter. They both give the most starting damage while using the Cestus, but the Warrior starts with a bit more endurance, so I decided to go with that class. For the gift, I of course went with the Master Key for all the shortcuts. And with that, let's get our adventure started. I wake up in my cell and proceed to take off my armor because professional boxers have no need for that. I then threw away my broken sword because all I will be needing is my left fist. After throwing everything I own away, I find Oscar and proceed to show off how amazing my left jab is. And in amazement, he gives me some Estus. With Estus in hand, it's time to take on the first boss, the Asylum Demon. If you were curious if the left-handed attack has a plunge attack, it does not. I sadly just take fall damage instead. But overall, the fight wasn't too bad. It was just very long. With not having any Cestus yet, I had to use my bare fist, and as you can see, I only do 1 damage. Beautiful. Overall, it's not too bad since the left jab is so fast and doesn't use much stamina, it's easy to get multiple hits in. Really, this fight isn't any different than how you would normally fight him. The only downside was when the Asylum Demon would back up into the wall, then it got a bit complicated. Unfortunately, very early on in this fight, I had to use all my Estus, so the odds of me living are slim to none, until I channeled my inner Ippo and proceeded to jab the living shit out of the Asylum Demon while dodging all of his attacks. And with that, it took 813 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 836 jabs thrown, and 23 minutes and 56 seconds to earn my first victory. After defeating the Asylum Demon, I made my way to Firelink Shrine, picked up some souls, and then proceeded to New Londo Ruins for a Firekeeper soul to upgrade my Estus to +1. After that prepped, I beeline for the Dark Root Basin shortcut to make my way to Andre. Once at Andre, I buy a Cestus and then proceed to use my extra souls I grabbed to upgrade it to +4. Now, before going any further, let's talk a bit about the left-handed jab. For starters, left-handed weapons in general cannot be buffed, so no resin or magic weapons. So I will have to solely rely on weapon paths to help with boss fights. Besides that, the left jab isn't bad for damage. As stated earlier, it does not use a lot of stamina and you can get a lot of hits in a short period of time. And the best part about the weapon is that it's very good at stun locking normal enemies to the point that they can't attack, which is just a bit comical if I do say so myself. Now you might be wondering, do left-handed attacks riposte or backstab? And the answer is no, sadly. Now you can still parry attacks and get counter damage for the first hit, but that's the only bonus damage you'll get from it. And that is everything you need to know about left-handed weapons and the jab. So with that said, let's get back to the story. After I finished upgrading my weapon and my Estus to +2, I decided to let chat decide who I fight next, and they picked Sif. But unfortunately, you need 20,000 souls for the Crest of Artorias to open the door in Darkroot Garden to have a bonfire that doesn't put you a mile away from the fight. So Chad and I compromised and decided to take on the Stray Demon next for the 20,000 souls to buy the Crest of Artorias so that I could take on Sif. So I made my way to the Northern Undead Asylum to take on the Stray Demon. Now you might be saying, aren't you only level 4 with a +4 weapon? Wouldn't that take a long time to kill the boss? And my answer to that question is yes. Yes, it would. But lucky for me, throughout my time doing these challenge runs, I discovered a strategy that makes the stray demon fight super easy. Well, until your luck runs out, then it becomes a bit more complicated. So normally all I do is circle the stray demon to avoid all of his attacks and whack away. Unfortunately, this time when I circled him, he kept ending up against the wall, which puts me in a position to get hit. Luckily, during my second attempt, I was able to find a way around this. If you just rotate between his left and right side, it will keep him in a single position. For some reason, when just circling in one direction, the demon will slowly keep backing up until he's against the wall, which I do not want. But once solving this issue, it only took 750 hits to kill, 1 death, a grand total of 1,428 jabs thrown, and 35 minutes and 40 seconds to earn my second victory. With the stray demon finally defeated, I headed back to Andre and purchased the Crest of Artorias to take on Sif. But first, I proceeded to summon Shiva and his bodyguard. I then convinced Shiva's bodyguard to jump off a cliff with me so that I could come back alive and steal his wood grain ring. With all that done, it's time to visit Sif. Sif isn't normally bad, but when your attack whiffs 90% of the time, and you take chip damage from her hopping away, it gets a bit rough. I tried this fight for a while and was willing to beat my head against the wall, but chat decided it would be best to go be the Capra Demon instead and upgrade my Cestus some more. Before going to the Undead Burg, I visit Lotric and show him off a cliff. Since he's no longer alive, he won't be needing his ring anymore. From here, I do the shortcut to skip the lower Undead Burg, unlock the shortcut door to Firelink Shrine, and take on the Capra Demon. For this fight, I was level 15. Should I have been 14? Yes, but sets of 5s look better. I then survived the onslaught of blood loss and dog bites to just leave me facing the Capra Demon 1v1. As you already know, I won't be able to plunge attack the Capra Demon for an easy win, so I'll have to use a strategy I developed during my Skull Lantern run to beat him. To do this, you need the Capra Demon to get up on the archway and fall off. When he does this, he will take fall damage. As you can see, the fall damage does more than what my jabs can do. Just be careful if you try to do this yourself. The Capra Demon can get stuck on the tree and not fall down, and will come running back down the stairs for that booty. Besides that, it only took a grand total of 57 jabs, 0 deaths, and 12 minutes and 38 seconds to earn my third victory. With the Capra Demon defeated, it's time to head into the depths, pick up a large ember, and save Laurentius. With all that done, I head back up to head back down to Blighttown. Here, I will be farming Giant Leeches. Giant Leeches have a 5.15% chance of dropping large Titanite shards and 2.06% chance of dropping green Titanite shards. I'll be needing 10 large Titanite shards for the raw upgrade path and 10 green Titanite shards for the divine upgrade path for later on in this run. You might be asking why the raw upgrade path instead of the normal upgrade path, and I asked that same question. Ryan from my chat was the one who suggested I do this because a +5 raw upgrade does more base damage than a +10 normal upgrade. But more importantly, even with the raw downgrading the C scaling to a D, it still does more damage than the normal path. This is only good for early game to mid game. Once you have the very large ember, it's best if you go back to the normal path because +15 does way better than raw +5. Once I was done collecting shards, I grabbed Power Within and a Firekeeper's Soul. I made my way back up to Firelink Shrine and upgraded my flask and nabbed the Pyromancy Flame from Laurentius. With that done, I went back to Andre to make my Cestus to a +4 raw Cestus. And yes, I fucked up. I ended up only getting 9 shards instead of 10. Oh, and don't you worry though, I will keep fucking up throughout this entire run. It's nothing new for me, unfortunately. With all that prep done, it's time to take on Sif again. For this fight, I was level 20, and as you can see, I only have 9 points in attunement, so I can't use Power Within. See? I told you I would keep fucking up. Overall, Sif wasn't horrible, besides missing majority of my attacks due to her bad hitboxes because FromSoft didn't think anyone would be stupid enough to try and jab Sif to death. I eventually learned I need to go for her back feet because they were the easiest to hit and I was least likely to get chipped by her hopping away. Even with learning this, Sif could easily one-shot me or two-shot me, which she made sure to do from time to time. But after 164 hits, 8 deaths, a grand total of 877 jabs thrown, and 12 minutes and 18 seconds to bring Sif down and earn my 4th victory. With the good girl put to bed, it's time to take on the Bell Gargoyles. For this fight, I was level 25. The Bell Gargoyles were super easy at this point, especially due to having power within. I literally just ran up to them and just spammed my jabs non-stop. As you can see, they didn't put up too much of a fight, and after 19 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 20 jabs thrown, and 1 minute and 5 seconds, the Bell Gargoyles go down, earning me my 5th victory. After showing the Bell Gargoyles how powerful my jabs are, it was time to show the Taurus Demon these hands. I was level 30 for this fight. The Taurus Demon didn't put up much of a fight. I just let him up onto the roof and he easily went down after 12 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 13 jabs thrown, and 1 minute and 2 seconds to earn my 6th victory. Another easy win. Speaking of easy wins, time to see Pinwheel. Funny enough, Pinwheel actually did more damage to me than the Bell Gargoyles and the Taurus Demon, if you can actually believe that. But as per usual, I teased Pinwheel into thinking he could win to immediately take that satisfaction away from him. After 21 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 36 jabs thrown, and 1 minute and 42 seconds to earn my 7th victory in the Rite of Kindling. So at this point, I would talk about heading to the next section, but I ran into a little roadblock. Literally. I have never had Patches do this to me before where he flipped the bridge back to the spikes once I crossed it. So I didn't know what to do and was worried that maybe I was soft locked out, but lucky for me, John came to my rescue. Come to find out, there is a ladder in the area where the hidden Necromancer is that leads you back up to the top where you encounter the first Necromancer. Just don't die immediately when you get there or you'll have to do it all over again. But lucky for me, it only took a few tries, and I was finally able to escape the catacombs. Once free from my personal hell, I made my way to Darkroot Gardens to jab a butterfly. For Moonlight Butterfly, I was level 32. Moonlight Butterfly was the same as usual, I just dodged her attacks and waited until she decided to come down to let me jab her in the face. And after 30 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 30 jabs thrown, and 4 minutes and 16 seconds for the Moonlight Butterfly to go down, earning me my 8th victory. With Moonlight Butterfly being knocked out of the ring, I grab the Divine Ember and make my way back into the depths to take on the Gaping Dragon. For the Gaping Dragon, I was level 36. Anyone who has watched my previous videos knows all I do for the Gaping Dragon is bait out his head slam attack by waiting from a medium distance and then proceeding to smack away. It only took 56 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 76 jabs thrown, and 8 minutes and 38 seconds to earn my 9th victory. With the Gaping Dragon defeated, that only leaves me Chaos Witch Quelaag. For this fight, I was level 39. I normally struggle a little bit with Quelaag. It's pretty common for me to die to her a few times before I win, but not this time. This time I had 0 issues with her. I think I'm finally starting to get the hang of this game. The secret to beating Quelaag is developing a fetish for armpits. Anytime she does her sword attack, just wedge yourself right into those bad boys. And while you're there, take a good whiff. Joking aside, when you're in her armpits, you can get a few hits in, especially after she does her poke attack. The other best time to get a lot of hits in is when her spider is throwing up. Unfortunately, when it comes to jabbing her legs, it becomes a bit rough. But that's all you really need to know to beat Quelaag. And with that, after 87 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 103 jabs thrown, and 4 minutes and 53 seconds, Quelaag goes down, earning me my 10th victory. After beating off a woman, it's time to beat off a man. And by man, I mean Ceaseless Discharge. It's not very hard to beat off Ceaseless. It only took 7 strokes to get the job done. Or am I just that good at beating people off? After successfully beating off a woman and a man, it's time to beat off a golem. And unfortunately, I can only use one hand for a 2-hand job. For the Iron Golem fight, I was level 43. I was hoping to be able to cheese him off the map, but unfortunately both times I knocked him down, he was nowhere near the edge. But overall, the fight was pretty chill. I just ran between his legs, jabbing at his Achilles heel, and after 81 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 103 jabs thrown, In 2 minutes and 45 seconds, the Iron Golem goes down, a happy boy, earning me my 12th victory. With the Iron Golem taking a nap after that beating, it was time to head to Orlando. Once in Orlando, I made my way to the giant blacksmith and made a bad decision. I for some reason at this point thought a plus 10 normal cestus would be better than a plus 5 raw, so I downgraded my weapon but forgot only Andre could modify my weapon. See, I still fuck up even now after doing 8 challenge runs. And don't you worry, we still haven't even gotten to the biggest mistake yet. But before leaving, Call of Dark Souls from chat wanted me to see how a plus 5 cestus would do against Ornstein and Smo. With that said, I gave ONS my best shot and it wasn't too bad, but I obviously ended up dying to them, and probably for the best, because who knows how long this fight would go on for. With that fun test over with, I made my way back to Andre to fix my mistake, and re-upgrade my cestus to plus 5 raw. With my mistake fixed, it's time to take on Ornstein and Smo. I know most of you are probably thinking I died a lot during this fight, and surprisingly that was not the case. I ended up only dying once after re-upgrading my weapon, and that was due to me spam rolling. Besides that one death, the fight was pretty straightforward. For this fight, I was level 45. In the first phase, I focused on killing Ornstein. All of his attacks can be comfortably dodged by rolling through them, once you're no longer scared of possibly getting hit by them. And some of his attacks, like his thrust attack, can easily be avoided by just walking around him. Really, the biggest threat is Smo lurking in the background waiting to strike. But after 79 hits, in 14 minutes and 33 seconds, Ornstein goes down. With Ornstein defeated, that just leaves Energizer Bunny Smo. Luckily, I have done this fight one too many times, so I know Smo's second phase like the back of my hand. The only scary part about this phase is getting hit, since any one of his attacks can easily one-shot me. But lucky for me, all that experience paid off. It only took 65 hits, 2 deaths, a grand total of 274 jabs thrown. In 25 minutes and 7 seconds, I earned my 13th victory. With Ornstein and Smo defeated, I decided to reward myself in chat with a view. And what a beautiful view it is. After viewing those twin peaks, I visit another set of twins. Hello, Priscilla's feet. Unfortunately, she was not too happy about it. Still worth it in my opinion though. For this fight, I was level 45. I did learn this time around from chat that her invisibility is based off of poise and not damage. So I'll be needing to hit her consecutively to make her visible again. Now it's a bit harder since I can't see her, but I found out during this fight, after you find her, she just walks in a circle. So after I found her, I smacked her a bit, and just proceeded to follow her to my left to continue smacking her, and with that, I was able to break her poise and make her visible again. Definitely one of the biggest reasons I love doing these types of runs, you really get to know the boss fights. But with that said, after 85 hits, 1 death, a grand total of 139 jabs thrown, and 4 minutes and 18 seconds to defeat Priscilla and earn my 14th victory. After becoming a wife beater once more, it's time to discipline a child. We all know how Gwendolyn goes. I don't think it's necessary to talk about him. After 50 hits, 2 deaths, a grand total of 51 jabs thrown, and 7 minutes and 9 seconds, I earned my 15th victory. After sending Gwendolyn to his room, I make my way to New Londo Ruins to pick up the very large Ember. From here, I proceed to collect some Titanite chunks from various places, and after collecting 9 chunks, I re-upgrade my cestus to plus 15. While I was here, I upgraded a second pair of cestus to Divine plus 5 to help out with the Nito fight. Speaking of Nito, for Nito I was level 52. Really the fight wasn't too bad, except for the first 2 tries, those didn't go so well. But the third time was much better. All I had to do was use the Divine Fist to kill his skeletons, which I tried to use the normal fist to weaken them, but my jabs were just too strong for the skeletons, so I had to stick with the plus 5 Divine Fist to get the job done. Once Nito army was taken care of, Nito didn't really stand a chance. And after 85 hits, 2 deaths, a grand total of 135 jabs thrown, in 6 minutes and 48 seconds, he goes down, earning me my 16th victory. With Nito jab 10 feet under, it's time to make my way to jab a nerdy dragon. I warp to Anne Orlando, run through the Duke archives, and proceed to get bullied by said nerdy dragon. Once awakened, I jab the guard in the back for the cell key and make my great escape. From here, I proceed to run off an invisible walkway because I was reading chat at the time. Definitely going to blame it on that. Finally, after paying attention, I made it across to take on Seath the Scaleless. And dear God, 3 clams made it in. Why, Miyazaki, did you put giant monster clams at the boss door? But, lucky for me, Seath was able to take them all out. For this fight, I was level 56. As usual, I just chased Seath's tentacle, which causes him to continuously move in a circle. You know, it's pretty crazy how many bosses you can just loop them into a pattern and easily beat them with any weapon. Anyways, after 102 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 127 jabs thrown, in 8 minutes and 58 seconds, Seath goes down, earning me my 17th victory. With Seath defeated, it was time to take on the DLC area, so I made my way to Darkroot Basin and jabbed a Hydra. Surprisingly, it did very good damage to them. It only took 3 jabs to punch a Hydra's head off. I unfortunately got a bit unlucky and had to deal with the second to last head on the right side of the Hydra. This head likes to stay near the edge of the water, so I had to finagle him a bit to be able to kill him. With the Hydra dead, I saved dust from a golden crystal dude. She then sends me off to kill a blue crystal dude for his pendant. I'm starting to think she has something against the crystal people. Anyways, with pendant in hand, I was able to access the Sanctuary Garden to take on the Sanctuary Guardian. Very clever, FromSoft. For this fight, I was level 59. The Sanctuary Guardian didn't put up too much of a fight. All I had to do was dodge his projectiles and wait for him to either do his dive bomb attack or his air slam attack to get some hits in. Now, I was a bit worried about his tail and even tried to hit it enough times to break it, but after getting his health below halfway, I just stopped trying to break it and made sure I stayed more near his face than his derriere. Overall, super chill fight, only took 34 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 35 jabs thrown, and 4 minutes and 24 seconds to earn my 18th victory. After jabbing a giant cat to death, it's time for the man himself, Artorias the Abyss Walker. For this fight, I was level 61. I have fought Artorias a good amount of times, so I know this fight very well, so I really didn't struggle with him, until I made 2 crucial mistakes. Nearing the end of the fight, I ended up rolling too soon when he was doing his spin attack, and ended up getting hit, and the final mistake was rolling backwards, leading to my death. If we look at the animation, I had enough time to see he was preparing to do his poke attack, but I was panicking and not thinking at the time and just reacted by rolling backwards. I am slowly becoming a better player, but I still make big mistakes from time to time. After that failure, I went back in, more focused this time, and was easily able to take out Gwen's best knight. It only took 72 hits, 1 death, a grand total of 157 jabs thrown, and 8 minutes and 42 seconds to earn my 19th victory. With Artorias defeated, that only leaves me Calamite and Manus. I decided to take on Calamite first, thinking he would be easier than Manus, but I was horribly wrong about that. I was level 63 for this fight. I really struggled with this fight. Calamite could easily one-shot me in most cases, and avoiding his bad hitboxes was an act of Congress. I did learn a lot about him though. For starters, did you know if he does his charge move, you can be hit by each individual leg? I sure didn't, and I found out the hard way. I was on the verge of victory, and all of a sudden, I got double tapped. At first, I had no clue what happened, but upon getting hit by it again, I eventually figured it out. I also learned it's better to roll backwards from his head attacks, 1, because it's safer, 2, after rolling backwards, he follows up with a horizontal breath attack which leaves him open for a smacking. But even learning all this, it took me a minute to beat him. Probably didn't help that I had been streaming for close to 17 hours at this point, and it was nearing 5 in the morning my time. But I am one stubborn son of a bitch, so I kept beating my head against the wall. Even with being sleep deprived, underleveled, and naked, I got the job done. And after 106 hits, 21 deaths, a grand total of 973 jabs thrown, and 11 minutes and 19 seconds, the Great Black Dragon Calamite goes down, earning me my 20th victory. With Calamite finally defeated and me catching up on some sleep, I was ready for Manus. But before taking him on, I decided to be safe and level up a bit, and get my humanity up a bit as well. With that done, it's time to take on Manus, Father of the Abyss. For this fight, I was level 85. Manus wasn't that bad if you can believe it, but I did mess up near the end of the fight because I misread his animation. All I really did for Manus was wait for him to whiff his attacks and punish him. Really, the only attacks that are not safe is his staff combo and his horizontal swing attack. Besides that, every other attack is easily punishable. For his second phase, I just used the Silver Talisman to stop his magic attacks. And after that, it only took 104 hits, 2 deaths, a grand total of 232 jabs thrown, and 9 minutes and 28 seconds, Manus goes down, earning me my 21st victory. With the final DLC boss finished, it's time to visit the birthplace of demons, and the first demon on my list is the Fire Sage. The Fire Sage is the same as the Stray demon, but much easier because he likes to hop back into a corner while I jab away at him. And after 72 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 89 jabs thrown, in 3 minutes and 40 seconds, he goes down. With the Fire Sage easily defeated, that just leaves the Centipede demon. The Centipede demon was a bit tricky since I needed to get lucky and break his arm to get the orange charred ring, but after a few tries, I was finally lucky enough to jab his arm off. I quickly put on the ring and proceed to jab at his leg as fast as possible. And after 35 hits, 2 deaths, a grand total of 85 jabs thrown, in 4 minutes and 20 seconds, the big boy goes down, earning me my 23rd victory. Now the bed of chaos. I ran, I jabbed. I ran, I jabbed. I ran, then jumped, and then jabbed. The end. With that, all I have left is the 4 kings and Gwen. But for the 4 kings fight, I thought using the lightning fist would be best since the 4 kings are weak to lightning. So I made my way to New Londo Ruins to grind dark rates for Titanite chunks. Dark rates have an 8.47% chance of dropping Titanite chunks. Shouldn't be too bad to get the amount I need. Nearing the end of my farming, I only needed 1 more chunk to be done. So when I saw this guy have an item, I was excited to be done. But luck was not on my side because he dropped a Titanite slab. Dark rates have a whopping 0.21% chance of dropping a Titanite slab. So I guess my luck was actually too good, but no worries, I definitely get it on the next one. Or that's what I thought. Unbeknownst to me, a series of unfortunate events occurred, and this was my live reaction to it.
Drop it.
Because we stay. What? What the?
2, 1.
Motherfucker. After using all my entire life's worth of luck on some dark hands, I finally made the Lightning Cestus, and with that, it's time to take on the 4 kings. For this fight, I was level 122. Y'all already probably know this, but the 4 kings is a DPS check, and when you have no armor and you only do 54 damage with power within is not a good sign. All 4 kings definitely came out to play, and I was not excited for this playdate. I did get very close one run, but just couldn't handle the pressure of all 4 kings, which ended up causing me to die. To help with this, I usually use Elizabeth mushrooms, which heal you for 100 HP per second for 30 seconds. To get this item, you have to kill Elizabeth, or that's what I thought. When you kill her, she drops 3, but there are 2 more ways to get more. First is a location in the Royal Woods, and lastly is accepting Elizabeth's request and defeating Manus. Afterwards, she will give you 3 mushrooms. So I could have had 7 mushrooms instead of 4. And if I would have done this, I could have easily beaten the 4 kings. But after that blunder, I decided to go get some divine blessings to help me out a bit. And I need to give a massive thanks to Max the Sag. Max came in clutch with all the ways possible to get divine blessings, and one of these ways is by joining the Booba Lady's Covenant, as he puts it, and trading her ring to Snuggly the Crow. So after pawning off my wedding ring for 2 divine blessings, I pick up 2 more in Lost Izalith, and with that, I was finally ready to take on the 4 kings. So this time going in, Ryan from chat asked me to try the plus 15 normal Cestus. I figured they wouldn't do as much damage, but I figured why not give it a shot. And I was horribly mistaken. They did a whopping 93 damage with power within. As Ryan states here, lightning removes scaling, which I had completely forgot and is by far my biggest fuck up in this entire run. Because if I had just used the normal Cestus, this fight would have been finished a lot sooner. As I always say, wouldn't it be an Arcane video if I didn't fuck up. But after 123 hits, 8 deaths, a grand total of 968 jabs thrown, in 5 minutes and 19 seconds, I finally earned my 25th victory. With that fuck up over with, it's time for the final fight, Gwen, the Lord of Cinder. Gwen was rough to say the least. Not being able to riposte him means I will actually have to fight him, and he is terrifying. I ended up dying a lot during this fight. I tried multiple ways to try and beat him. I even tried the Estes cheese tactic, but by the time I put the Estes down, he was already hitting me. I tried a hit and run strategy, which did well, but I could easily be two-shotted, and Gwen made sure to take advantage of that. So Ryan from chat suggested I try using Iron Flesh with the Ring of Steel and Protection and the Flame Stone Plate Ring. Iron Flesh gives me more defense and poise, but makes me extremely slow and basically can't dodge. Ring of Steel and Protection gives me 50 points of defense, and the Flame Stone Plate gives me 50 points of fire defense, basically making me a tank. But when I can't roll, Gwen can easily grab me, which kept causing me to die. On one of my last Iron Flesh attempts, I ended up finding a pattern after running out of Iron Flesh. I found if I always dodge Gwen's first attack, I can parry his second attack, leaving me room to get 3 hits in, and when doing this while circling him gives you multiple points of protection to fight him without being spammed by his attacks. So after a grand total of 426 jabs thrown, 32 deaths, and 2 minutes and 8 seconds, I earned my final victory. So can you beat Dark Souls with no armor and left jabs only? Yes. Yes, you fucking can. This run was extremely fun. I had a blast jabbing my way through all the bosses while being pleasantly surprised how good the left cestus is. I honestly would recommend this run, but use armor, no need to make it that much harder. With all that said, I want to thank everyone who came out and watched the stream. I really appreciate all of y'all's support. It definitely made the run 10 times more fun. While on the subject of support, I want to thank my channel supporters. If you too want to support the channel or have your name in the video, you can click the Patreon link down below or click the join button to become a YouTube member. Also, recently I made a Discord. If you would like to join, a link will be in the description of this video. But before ending this video, I want to give a special thanks to Phantom Eevee. During my run, he counted every single jab, whether it hit or missed. Truly a masochistic thing to do. I really appreciate the help, Eevee. It really means a lot to me. But with that said, thank you all for watching. Until next time, take care.